What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm doing an updated deck profile for Virtual World. Now, this is a deck profile for the updated, Burst of Destiny format we are in, and Virtual World got a huge boost from Burst of Destiny, in my opinion, in a card called Small World, which I've been uploading a lot of decks recently that use Small World because it is such an amazing card, and it's been talked about for Virtual World since it got sort of revealed in the OCG that it could be good in Virtual World, and this deck has a bunch of very cool links that Virtual World can kind of link to get into your plays. And I'll be showing you guys some of those links in this deck profile along with the updated list, the updated extra deck. And yeah, I plan to be doing a super long combo video for this deck as well, like an ultimate Virtual World combo video. And I plan to have that up maybe a few days after this deck profile, so once that is finished I will leave a link in the description for that. If you do like Virtual World, make sure to hit that like button and maybe even consider subscribing. It really helps us out and supports what we do here on the channel and provides you with more Yu-Gi-Oh content. Before we get into the deck profile, I do want to let you guys know that our Discord link is down below. If you want to join a Yu-Gi-Oh community where you can maybe talk to people about the game or just hang out, we're trying to grow the community up and just have a really nice community where people can hang out and just have a good time. So if that does interest you, Discord link down below. And without further ado, let's get into the Virtual World deck profile. Alright, so starting off, we're going to start off with our 3 Lulu because she is the main one. Of course, we're going to play 3 essentially of all of our Virtual World monsters, which is the 3 Lulu, 3 Gigi, 3 Lily, 3 Roshi, and then only 2 Nian Yan. So we're playing 14 Virtual World monsters in this list. Some lists play 15, running a 3rd Nian Yan, but I wanted to cut down on some of the cards that don't help our plays get going. Nian Yan can, but you have to see one of your Virtual World monsters that activate from hand, and those are the ones we really want to maximize. So most Virtual World lineups look like this, or with a 3rd Nian Yan. You can run that if you want to. If you feel like you banish too many off Desires, if you choose to play that card, you can bump her ratio up. But I feel like 2 works fine, and this is a pretty standard ratio for Virtual World monsters, so nothing much to talk about here. You do want to maximize on your special summon effects from hand so that you can fully combo out with ease. Alright, so going on into our hand traps or our Go Second cards, we're going to start off with the 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, the 2 Ghost Belt and Haunted Mansion, 2 Effect Veiler, and 2 Nibiru the Primal Being. So I'm definitely going to have to explain this hand trap lineup and the ratios because it is a little different, and we're not playing Crossout Designator actually. It looks like we're playing Crossout from the way this hand trap lineup is set up, but this is actually just the way I'm playing these hand traps for some very specific reasons, and of course, most importantly, the Small World in our main deck. So I will explain the links for Small World once I get to the card. However, the reason these hand traps look like this as far as the hand traps are concerned is because the reason we're playing Veiler over Imperm is strictly for the Small World because Small World doesn't work with trap cards, and Veiler is, a monster you can add back with Ptolemy as well as a Small World target, so that's the reason we choose to play Veiler over Impermanence, even though Imperm is the better card. Ghost Belt and Ash Blossoms have important links in the deck, and Nibiru is probably the most powerful hand trap and very, very important for Small World. A thing you'll notice about this hand trap lineup is there is no Psyframe Gear Gamma, and Gamma was one of the cards originally that people were really talking about with Small World because it can help you link to Gigi and even to Lulu, and it is a really great target for Small World, but I really don't like Gamma. Gamma is not a card I personally like to play. I know some people are in the same boat, and then some people just live and die by Gamma. I'm choosing not to play it. I feel like Desires always punishes me with that card, and I draw Driver too much, and while Driver doesn't always hurt to have in hand because you can just discard him, I want to draw hand traps that always do something, and Driver's just a brick you add to your deck. And a lot of good players, they tend not to Ash your Lulu effect when you have no monsters because they are afraid of something like Psyframe Gear Gamma. So we can sort of benefit from Gamma even though we're not running him because players might still choose to play around him. But yeah, personally, I'm not a super huge fan of the card. If you want to run Gamma, you can definitely take out maybe some Veilers, maybe a Bell, or maybe just take out all of these and run Gamma. So yeah, if you want to run Gamma, you can, but I choose not to, and once we get to Small World, I'll sort of explain what else these hand traps do. Okay, so now onto spells. We are of course going to start with our 3 Kowloon and our 3 Qinglong. These are the main Virtual World spell cards that you have to maximize each at 3, not only because they are fantastic cards for, getting your plays like Qinglong or getting cards to activate your Virtual World effects off of, but sometimes you just need spells to send and add, and you have to maximize both of these at 3. And I really like Virtual World as a deck, mostly because it can go first or second very well because of Kowloon into Qinglong. It is super good for being able to you know, out Appaloosas or card effects that might hinder your plays. Like, the fact that it has inbuilt going second is very, very nice in its engine, and yeah, I really enjoy that about Virtual World. On to some consistency cards. We have the 3 Pot of Desires. This is pretty standard in Virtual World. In my last list, I chose to run a Pot of Prosperity alongside the Desires, so it was 3 Desires, 1 Prosperity. However, running the Small World, I had to take some other cards out, and Prosperity had, like, it could hinder your plays because it would stop you from drawing, and you have a lot of draw effects in Virtual World, so not running the Prosperity, it was a good card for consistency, but we just want to maximize on cards that let us play and not hinder our effects, so Desires is really good for that. And it is also a +1 that really helps with your discard effects, and it's a spell to set for your Tzolk'in, so Desires has a lot of things going for it, and that is why we are playing 3 of it. Then the brand new card from Burst of Destiny, we have Small World. So this is definitely one of my favorite cards from the set. I absolutely love this card, and I think it is so good. If you don't know what it does, essentially you have to like match types from your hand to a card in your deck, and then that card that you show from your deck has to match to a card to add from your deck to your hand. Reading it for the first time can be very confusing, and maybe even me explaining it just then wasn't the best way to explain it, but I feel like if I show you guys by showing the links for this card, it'll be easier to understand. Alright, going into some links for Small World very quickly. There are actually so many different links that lead to so many different monsters in this deck, but I'm going to show some of the ones I like the most, or the coolest ones. So I want to talk about Nibiru, because he is very interesting as a Small World target, and he sort of replaces Gamma for me. Like, I know a lot of people like Gamma with the Small World package, but Nibiru is very cool because of his defense stats. So he has 600 defense, which means if you Small World Nibiru, you can reveal Lili from your deck because they only share 600 defense, and that means Lili can link into your Lulu because they only share 600 defense. All of these are different attributes, types, levels. The only thing they happen to share is their defense stat. So this means that if you draw Nibiru, you can reveal Lili and add Lulu to your hand, which is very good. So Ghost Belle is a cool card because it links to level 3s, and level 3s include, of course, our Gigi. Now, Belle can't link to Gigi, but something like Ash Blossom can. Belle can't link to Gigi, of course, because they share level 3 and Earth. However, Gigi can link with Ash Blossom, and then Gigi can link to your Lulu once again because they only share level 3. They are different types, attributes, attack, and defense. So hand traps like your Ghost Girls are very good to find your Lulu as well. And then we have something like Ash Blossom here, linking to a card like Effect Veiler, and this actually makes it possible to search Roshi because the only thing these cards share is the 0 attack stat. So Ash and Veiler only share 0 attack, Roshi and Veiler only share 0 attack. These are some of the links you can do to find different pieces of your Virtual World engine. Of course, a lot of the VW monsters actually search into other VW monsters, so if you like activate Lulu and then she gets Ash Blossomed, you can actually Small World away the Lulu to find like a Lili or different Virtual World names depending on which one got negated or whichever multiples you drew. It really helps when you draw multiple Virtual World names or when one gets negated. So this is how Small World sort of helps the deck's consistency, and it really just helps see multiple VW names and play through interruption. So I really love Small World in the deck, and I think it provides such a huge boost to its consistency. Next up, we have the 1 Foolish Burial Goods for dumping that Qinglong and helping us search a VW name. And then we have 2 Emergency Teleport. I'm still struggling with the same thing I was struggling with in my last list, where I have 1 Ulti First and 1 Ultra, but that is just the way it is. Never knew Teleport was going to come back to 2, but I'm glad it did because it really helped this deck a lot because it's another extender which helps you go second or make crazier plays, and it's just a super good card for the deck, and I definitely recommend playing 2 of it because searching Lulu or Nian Yan, there's just no downside. And then 1 Called by the Grave because it is just like one of the most flexible cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's good at stopping hand traps, going second against some decks, and yeah, you're just always playing Called by the Grave. On to the VW traps, we have the 2 Chuche and the Shan Wu. I feel like this is pretty standard. You don't really fluctuate from this too much, maybe you play a 3rd Chuche, but you need these for your combo and you just sort of have to play them, and Chuche is one of the best cards in your deck. So yep, these are the Virtual World trap cards. Alright, that was the main deck. It was 40 cards, and now going on into the extra deck. So I kind of have a different philosophy going into this extra deck from my last list. The last list was a pretty standard Virtual World list with a couple of like techs. This one I really wanted to be good, more of like a toolbox, as well as being good versus trap decks as well as monster decks. because Eldritch has been coming more into the meta with the release of Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and traps are just getting a little more popular if you look at recent tournament reports, and I wanted this extra deck to be able to fare well versus many types of strategies, and so to like reflect that, of course we have the very standard Stardust Charge Warrior and the Coral Dragon. These are just fantastic cards because they help you get into your other plays, letting you like draw cards, and of course outing things in the case of Coral Dragon can be a really good thing versus trap decks, and you know, any deck to bait interruptions as well as get your draw. So Coral Dragon is very good. You have to play both of these. One Juju, pretty standard because it is just like one of the best level 6s, and that's actually it for the level 6 Synchro monsters. We are not playing the Mud Dragon, which I think is the biggest thing to note about this extra deck. We're not on like Mud Dragon and his fusions, and that's just to make space for other cards I felt were necessary. We have, of course, the Shen Shen, the Vermilion Dragon Mech, which you have to play because it makes Lili and Qinglong a starter. And then the one Croca Dragon, who I recently added back in. I took him out of my last list, but I think he's so good for a couple of different reasons. One, he's very good at versus like more trap heavy decks, and decks you want to grind against. Plus, if you're siding like floodgates or things you really want to draw into, with Croca Dragon in your extra deck, and like the help of Stardust Charge Warrior and Coral Dragon, you can actually get like 3 to 4 draws on your first turn, and it really help you see your side deck cards or whatever you may need. And Croca Dragon I just wanted to add back in because he is an absolute beast of a card. Alright, that wraps it up for level 9 Synchros. Going on to Xyzes, we have of course the best card in the extra deck, Ptolemy. I mean, I guess Shen Shen's the best card in the extra deck, but Ptolemy is one of my favorites. He's just so powerful at recycling your own plays and outing boards and helping you make Zeus. We have the one Beatrice for side deck shenanigans. This is of course to send things like Necroroid Banshee to get Zombie World, or send Token Collector so you can have it against the Sword Soul matchup, or even send cards like Ariel against like Eldritch and just banish stuff. And Beatrice is mostly for the side deck, but she is really cool in combination with Ptolemy sometimes to search specific cards. One Utopia Beyond, he's very good for outing Dragoon and helping you make Zeus, as well as having some funny OTKs with Stardust Charge Warrior. One Fan, and one Gaia Charger. This sort of wraps up our level 6 Xyz package. I know Gaia Charger's a rank 7, but you're just overlaying him over a rank 6 to make Zeus. Then we have the one Break Sword. It's the only rank 3 I play because I feel like it's the best one for outing cards and being good in like the more grindy matchups. Again, I wanted to go with a very like toolbox route that could do a lot of different things in a lot of different situations versus many different types of decks. Then, of course, we have the one Zeus because he's just a powerhouse of a card. You really want to have him. Then to round off the extra deck, we have the Tzolk'in and the Crystal Wing. Of course, you really want to play these. Helps you play around Nibiru. Just a super powerful card when you're building your board, so you can end with a Monster Negate and Chuche, along with Shen Shen. Of course, we have cut out the Mud Dragon and the Kaliga to play other cards, so our first turn board can't like completely lock out our opponent with the Crystal Wing plus Kaliga. However, with the utility in our toolbox, we can fare better against a multitude of different decks, I think, a little more than just the monster heavy decks. And of course, I hated just like going so in on the Kaliga play because it really made your deck like die more to Dark Ruler and Droplets and things of that nature. So I just went with this, and I think it's just pretty good. And yeah, that's the extra deck. So that is going to wrap it up for the Virtual World deck profile for Burst of Destiny. Yeah, I will be doing like a super big combo video for this deck because I've done like some 1-card combos, or not 1-card combos, but like some 2-card combos for my last deck profile. But I want to do like a super huge combo video for this deck because there are so many different ways to combo, and it's really hard to just have like the 2-card combos because they don't really show what Virtual World does, because your combos change based on how many like names you open and which like consistency cards you got to like get to your plays. And now with Small World, there's so many different ways to get to different cards, and then you also essentially with Small World start with 4 cards in hand. So I feel like this deck deserves a super huge combo video. So again, link for that in the description when it is uploaded. If you're watching this day of release, it might be a few days, but otherwise it should already be in the description. And yeah, that wraps up for the deck profile. If you did enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe, comment which is your favorite Virtual World monster. Mine is Lulu because, I mean, she's very cool, I guess. And yeah, this has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.